Have you ever wondered what it's like to live in a place where everything, from your hairstyle to your birthday, is decided by the government? Do you know the disturbing secrets hidden in the world's most mysterious and isolated nation? In this video, we'll explore 10 shocking facts about North Korea, unveiling the dark and often hidden side of the regime. Subscribe to Travel Curiosities, hit the like button, and join us to discover what makes this country so unique and terrifying. Stay tuned until the end. The final chapter will leave you speechless. 1. The punishment of 3 generations. Imagine a single action of yours condemning your family for 3 generations. In North Korea, the punishment of 3 generations is a policy that doesn't just punish the person accused of a crime against the state, but also their children and grandchildren. Entire families, often innocent, are imprisoned or sent to forced labor camps for offenses they didn't commit. The purpose of this policy is to maintain total control over the population, instilling a deep fear of rebelling against the regime. No matter how minor the crime, reading foreign books or making a critical comment about the government, the consequences are devastating and inescapable. This strategy not only eliminates dissent, but also pushes families to police one another, destroying interpersonal trust and creating a society built on fear. 2. State-approved hairstyles. Government-approved hairstyles? Yes, you read that right. In North Korea, there's a list of state-approved hairstyles, and any deviation can be considered a challenge to the regime. For men, hair must not exceed 5 centimeters in length, while women can only choose from a handful of conservative styles. This policy is not just about aesthetics, it's a method of suppressing individuality and promoting a collective ideology. Citizens must demonstrate loyalty to the regime even in their physical appearance. The result is a society where everyone looks almost identical, stripped of a fundamental part of their identity. Would you be able to live in a place where even your haircut is dictated by someone else? Let us know in the comments. 3. State-controlled weddings. Love in North Korea is not a personal choice but a decision controlled by the regime. Weddings are often arranged by the state, with couples chosen based on their political loyalty and social status. Couples cannot hold lavish or private ceremonies. Everything must follow strict government guidelines. Even the wedding date is carefully selected to avoid overlapping with days dedicated to the leaders of the Kim dynasty. Marriage, instead of being a union of love, becomes another tool of control, ensuring that couples serve the regime's ideological interests. This level of interference in personal lives highlights the regime's fear of any form of independence, even in the most intimate emotions. 4. Total censorship of foreign media. In North Korea, owning or consuming foreign media is a serious crime. Movies, music, or books from abroad, especially from South Korea or the United States, are seen as a direct threat to the regime's control. Authorities fear that citizens exposed to alternative ideas might question official narratives. Anyone caught watching a foreign film or reading an unapproved book faces severe punishments, ranging from fines to imprisonment, or even the death penalty in extreme cases. Despite strict regulations, there's a black market for smuggled USB drives and DVDs. This small act of rebellion demonstrates a yearning for freedom and connection with the outside world. What do you think about this absolute control? Could you live without ever watching a foreign film or listening to foreign music? Let us know in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and give this video a thumbs up. 5. The cult of personality of the leaders. North Korea isn't just a country, it's a stage for the cult of the Kim dynasty. Gigantic statues, patriotic songs, and national holidays dedicated to the leaders make their presence impossible to ignore. Every aspect of life is constructed to glorify them. Propaganda portrays them as divine figures capable of extraordinary feats, often absurd. Kim Jong-il was said to have invented the hamburger, and Kim Jong-un is claimed to be able to captain a warship better than an experienced sailor. This cult of personality is not just exaggerated, it's a method of control. When an entire population believes their leaders are infallible, challenging the system becomes almost impossible. 6. Mass games. These grand spectacles involve thousands of citizens performing perfectly synchronized choreographies to create breathtaking displays that celebrate the regime's strength. The performances are so precise that even the slightest mistake can lead to severe consequences for the participants. Behind the apparent beauty lies immense pressure. Months of grueling training, impossible demands, and the constant fear of making a mistake. For the regime, the mass games are a powerful propaganda tool that showcases the obedience of its people to the world. 7. Pyongyang Time, a symbol of separation. In 2015, North Korea introduced its own time zone, known as Pyongyang Time, by setting the clocks back 30 minutes compared to South Korea and Japan. This seemingly minor decision had profound political and symbolic significance. The regime justified the change as an act of liberation from Japanese colonialism, as the previous time zone had been implemented during Japan's occupation. However, the real reason lies in the regime's constant desire to distinguish itself and emphasize its independence from other countries, especially South Korea. Pyongyang Time has created numerous practical issues. It complicates communication and trade with other nations, already extremely limited, further isolating the country. For citizens, it's another reminder of how much the regime controls every aspect of their lives, even time itself. 8. The absence of commercial advertising, propaganda dominates everything. Walking through the streets of Pyongyang is a surreal experience. There are no billboards promoting products or services, nor are there neon signs inviting you into a shop. Instead, you'll find propaganda slogans, patriotic murals, and gigantic images of the Kim dynasty. North Korea is one of the few countries in the world where commercial advertising is entirely absent. This is because the regime views consumerism and individualism as threats to ideological control. Every public space is monopolized by messages extolling the virtues of socialism and the supremacy of the leadership. Even the media is an extension of this propaganda. There are no TV or radio ads for consumer goods. Every broadcast is dedicated to glorifying the regime or denouncing external enemies, particularly the United States and South Korea. Would you be able to live in a world without advertising, but with constant propaganda? Let us know in the comments. 9. Women's concentration camps, the hidden hell. One of the darkest aspects of North Korea is its concentration camps, and among these are facilities exclusively for women. These camps, secretive and practically inaccessible to outsiders, are reserved for women accused of political crimes, attempted escape, or even mere suspicion of disloyalty. The conditions in these camps are horrifying. Inmates are forced to perform grueling labor, such as mining or construction, often without proper tools. Food is scarce and of poor quality, and diseases run rampant due to the lack of hygiene and medical care. Physical and psychological abuse is rampant. Many women endure systematic torture and, in some cases, sexual violence. The regime's guilt by association policy means entire families are imprisoned together, perpetuating cycles of suffering across generations. 10. The military-first policy. Survival at the people's expense. North Korea follows a policy known as Songun, or military first, which prioritizes the military sector over all other needs of the population. This policy, introduced by Kim Jong-il and continued by Kim Jong-un, allocates most of the country's economic and productive resources to modernizing and maintaining the army. With about 1.2 million active soldiers in a population of just over 25 million, North Korea has one of the largest armies in the world relative to its population. However, this military strength comes at a massive cost. Resources meant for the military are taken away from civilian services like healthcare, education, and food supply. Conclusion. North Korea is an extreme example of how a regime can influence every aspect of its citizens' lives, from the time on their clocks to control over personal relationships. These shocking stories remind us how precious freedom truly is. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Travel Curiosities, give it a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next content. If you had to choose between living under total time control, giving up advertising, or enduring the consequences of the military-first policy, which would be the hardest to bear? Let us know in the comments below.